Alright, so full disclosure, I'm having a bit of a slow day today. My brain is just not working. But I have a important article I want to go over that I don't think many people in the MMA community will see. So with the little audience I have here, I want to bring attention to it because like a lot of my other videos I'm making right now, this is yet another UFC fighter that has struggled with addiction, is still struggling, and he's open about it. So, as you can see, headline: former UFC star derailed broadcasting career due to drug use. An ex UFC fighter had a chance to transition to the booth post fighting, but the opportunity was wasted. See what I mean? Alright, anyways, let's try. It certainly isn't unusual to see former UFC fighters become desk analysts or even color commentators. Some fighters who are part of the UFC's broadcast team are still active competitors, although more of them have retired in recent years. One man who nearly defeated MMA legend Demetrius Johnson could have been a permanent fixture on the UFC programming long after his fighting career wrapped up. Unfortunately for Ian McCall, personal demons took over. Now, there's going to be some of you that hear that name and you're like, wow, that's a blast from the past. But if you guys have no idea who this is, or you forgot, I pulled up some pictures of him right here. He used to have this mustache. I'm pretty sure that's what I made the thumbnail. Uh, yeah, he's this guy, and where do we go here? In his career, when he was getting started out, he had went on what 6 fight win streak, 5 by finish. Then he got submitted. Lost to Dominic Cruz by unanimous decision back in the WEC days. Jeff Winningham, who's there, always names, whatever. And then he had the majority draw against Demetrius Johnson, probably the biggest fight of his career. Then he lost the rematch by unanimous decision, lost to Benavidez, and then went on a 2 fight win streak. Uh, went out on a 3 fight losing streak. Last fight was against John Winokur, fought Manel Cop and Rise, and you get the drift, right? So this is coming from MMA Junkie. We're rating this off of BJPen.com. Crazy how life comes full circle here. Um, During an interview with MMAJunkie.com, Ian McCall admitted that near the end of his UFC career, he squandered a chance to be a part of the broadcast team for fight night events. I walked away too late. I shouldn't have even left the UFC. I should have stayed there and tried to get some sort of desk job, which they offered me. But when I showed up to try out for a commentator gig, I was on a bender. I did um, soda in the bathroom. I'm trying to avoid, the Autobots that take over your videos. Trying to talk more, and I was a mess. UFC gave me every chance. They gave me everything I could have truly wanted, and I squandered it. Whether that's a title shot or multiple title shots or a job or whatever, I had to move on, and I had to go test waters in Japan, even though I was snorting oxycodone before I walked out to my fights. No excuses, it's where my life was at that point. I'm happy it's over. Do I miss it? Sure, it's a drug I will never get again. It's something I missed with walking out to the adoration of fans. And then McCall announced retirement for suffering a 9-second knockout loss, which, yeah. You know, when you ran through by that, and I completely failed to mention that it was a 9-second knockout, it's really hard for fighters to admit that, okay, it's not my time anymore. I don't have this anymore. And, you know, he was the guy that fought for a title. He made it to the top of the rankings. He was a known guy. Some casuals know him. Hardcores know him. And, you know, even, I shouldn't say even him, the contenders that you don't hear about, like Ian McCall, Bonner, when he faded away, right? These guys that were contenders that never won a belt, you know, maybe they had a few crazy fights. Excuse me. Maybe they had a few crazy fights here and there. You know, maybe you remember that one specific fight where he had this combination, or, you know, he landed this, or he came back from that. Like, I said in my Nick Diaz video, like, when you step away from the sport, when you step away from it being, you know, MMA, cage fighting, these are people. And then that's something we fail to realize a lot in society with MMA, with other sports, with social media, right? Where it's like, yeah, these guys are here to entertain us, but they also have their own demons, right? But the sad part is that it usually takes a big loss like that. When I get a commentator job, a desk job, it would have been paid probably 6 figures a year anyway. Not have to worry about money. Probably could buy a house where he wanted. You know, build up the family, all of that. But again, he had his vices. Now I don't know whether it was the crowd, whether it was the publicity, whether it was being in the cage, fighting, training, a mix of everything, right? I don't know what led Ian McCall to do all of the stuff he was doing. But I mean, hey, a lot of people do it. Majority of people go down the path that he goes down, right? But it really does take a lot for anybody in that position to like look at everything you lost and be like, okay, well, I went through that. That was my low point, but it got me here. And you know, I know a thing or two about that. I definitely know a thing or two about that. But like before this year, when I really got my channel going, yeah, that was reality hit me. That's basically the best way I can describe it. But I mean, you know, you got BJ, you got Nick, who's in better. You got Bonner, you got War Machine, you got all of these fighters who come out to entertain us, and then, you know, behind closed doors, habits develop, and then it just balls up and rolls and rolls and rolls until it's a big enough deal where it prevents them from being in that cage. And it's really sad. It's really sad, you know, even as an MMA channel, as, you know, an MMA fan who shits on, you know, professional fighters, who could destroy me within seconds. I care on a human level about them. Doesn't matter if I like their fight style, like their personality, like their manager. Um, but you don't hear a lot about this, and I'm gonna keep this one short just because I know people are gonna watch a 20-minute McCall video, but just another guy that we should acknowledge, and we should see that hey, there's kind of a pattern going on here. There's kind of a lot of stories coming up in the MMA world revolving around one thing. And it's something that a lot of people deal with, fighters and non fighters, executives, fans, whatever. Maybe we start having a conversation about that. But, the bottom line is money. UFC only cares about making money. And this will probably be, you know, lost in the void at some point. But let me know in the comments down below. What do you think about Ian McCall coming out now and explaining from his end what happened with him at the latter part of his career and ultimately what cost him his analyst job? But most importantly, as I burp into the mic, like having the ability, like I said, to look back and be like, hey, I messed that up, but I got here because of it. That's a big thing. But I'm gonna go. I already feel the indigestion coming. But let me know in the comments down below. What do you think? Later.